it's Mrs. Raff, and today I have a story for you that is a biography. It is about Rube Goldberg. It's called Just Like Rube Goldberg. He was a cartoonist as well as an inventor, and it says the incredible true story of the man behind the machines. It's written by Sarah Aronson and illustrated by Robert Neubecker. There's our title page. Question: how do you become a successful award winning artist and famous inventor without ever inventing anything at all? This is not a trick question. A man named Rube Goldberg did it in a funny way. His life was just like one of his famous inventions, an improbable and inefficient chain reaction that ends up making perfect sense. From the time he was a boy, Rube Goldberg loved to draw. We're not just talking about simple stuff here. As early as 4 years old, Rube traced the cartoons he found in his books. At 11, he took official art classes from a sign painter. Rube might have been a quiet boy. He might have been shy, but he was determined to be a great cartoonist for a big time newspaper. Unfortunately, when he told his family, they were absolutely horrified. Beyond dismayed, Rube's father, Max, had emigrated from Germany to America to give his family a chance for a better life. He didn't want his son to end up a beggar in the streets. So, to please his father, Rube went to the University of California, Berkeley, studied engineering, and after graduation got a job with the City of San Francisco Department of Water and Sewers. It was a good job. It paid well. That could have been the end of the story, right? Wrong. Rube detested shoveling tunnels in mines 2,000 feet underground. He didn't enjoy mapping sewer pipes either. And he wasn't very impressed with the city's government. Rube still wanted to draw comics for a big time newspaper, so after 6 months, he quit engineering and started over. He got a job at the San Francisco Chronicle. For $8 a week, Rube emptied wastebaskets, cleaned the floors, and filed photographs in the document morgue. That's why they put old things. And whenever he had a chance, Rube drew and drew. Day after day, Rube submitted his cartoons to the editor. Night after night, the editor mostly said no. When he said yes, Rube sometimes got paid, but other times he just got out of the office tasks he didn't like to do. After a year, Rube convinced the sports department of the San Francisco Bulletin to hire him, and after that, he was a little more successful. He developed his style. The paper ran his cartoons, a column too. This might have been the next end of the story, but then the ground shook. Literally. The 1906 earthquake in San Francisco crumbled the city and left many people without jobs and homes. In the wake of the disaster, it can be hard for people to focus on their dreams. It can be even harder to feel hopeful. But Rube didn't give up on his dream. Instead, he did the only thing he could do. He drew comics to cheer people up. And then he made a big decision. In 1906, there was only one place where a guy like Rube could really make it big. It was the place he called the Front Row, the cartoon capital of the country, New York City. So he got on a train and headed east. He didn't have much, $200 and a diamond ring. The ring was a gift from his father, just in case Rube needed to sell it to buy a ticket back home. After 12 days of pounding the pavement, juggling his art from newspaper to newspaper, Rube did it. he got a job as a cartoonist as a big-time paper called the New York Evening Mail. And there he is. He had made it. There's this very busy New York newspaper. Right off the bat, Rube became a celebrity. Readers couldn't wait to see what he had to say about all kinds of things, like sports and politics and the silliness of everyday life. But maybe more than anything else, everyone loved reading about Rube's alter ego, Professor Lucifer Gorgonzola Butts. The eccentric professor invented one intricate machine after another, and none of them were straightforward. In fact, they were the opposite of straightforward and often disregarded the laws of physics. Although this was the age when new machines were being invented to make life easier, Rube's screwball contraptions purposely solved problems in the most surreal and ridiculous way. Things like, how do you put holes in donuts? And this is his crazy machine to do that. All the parts interact. To how do you turn off a light? So we start A, B, C, the fan goes around, D to the bicycle wheel, which turns, F to the gear, G right down here to H that cranks the jack-in-the-box, I, the jack-in-the-box, jumps up, hits the bucket, the water spills out, and out drops a bowling ball, which pops up, causes the seesaw to pop up, and this little guy to turn off the light. Or how do you cut your own hair? The cat chases the mouse lands here, the boxing glove hits the lady, which helps turn the gear, which lands this big, heavy package, okay? And then through the pipe, somehow the hammer, the shoe on the hammer, hits the man over here, which causes the donkey to go down and eat Rube's hair. Just like machines he studied in engineering school, these complicated contraptions required lots and lots of parts, and they always worked, on paper, of course. They weren't practical in the real world, but that was never the point. Rube Goldberg didn't draw machines that solved real-world problems. He drew comics to make us look closer and question logic and tickle the imagination. And because of that, these machines accomplished something astounding and more important than any pile of nuts and bolts ever could. They challenged people to use the most amazing machine in the universe, the brain. And here is another Rube Goldberg contraption. So let's take it from the top. Rube Goldberg became a stubborn, smart, serious about being funny engineer, office boy, cartoonist, commentator, comic genius, and award-winning artist and inventor whose name is now an adjective in the actual dictionary without inventing a thing. Is this kind of thing still possible? You bet it is. Figure out what you want, work as hard as you can, and most of all, have a great time getting there. Just like Rube Goldberg. And there's a little biography of his life. He died in 1970 at the age of 87, and a very successful life building all kinds of machines. Think, what kind of contraption can you build with the things that you have in your house? I hope you enjoyed the story.